In the fallout of WrestleMania 41, one thing becomes crystal clear. The Rock should never return to WWE. This isn't a knock on his star power or past contributions, it's about the chaos and inconsistency his cameos bring. Buckle up, because I'm about to break down why Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's sporadic returns do more harm than good, and why WWE might be better off if the Great One stays in Hollywood. Welcome to Heel Heat with Adeen, and this is my hot take. Let's start with WrestleMania 41. It should have been the triumphant payoff to a huge storyline. Instead, fans were left scratching their heads at the end that fell flat. John Cena's shocking heel turn, a moment that fans had dreamed for years, finally happened to close the Elimination Chamber in Toronto, and it was all orchestrated by The Rock. He appeared alongside Travis Scott at Elimination Chamber and gave Cena a literal throat/signal to attack Rhodes, executing one of the most shocking heel turns ever. It was bold, it was electric, and then The Rock just vanished. Come WrestleMania 41, Cena was in full heel mode, chasing his 17th world title against Cody Rhodes. Fans expected The Rock, the mastermind of the betrayal, to show up in the climax, but on the grandest stage of them all, this bald fraud was nowhere to be found. Instead, we got an overbooked interference by Travis Scott as a proxy for The Rock, and a jarring finish that left everyone deflated. Most fans hated that ending. The so-called long gamer Rock didn't even bother to appear, leaving his celebrity sidekick to steal the spotlight in the worst way possible. It felt like The Rock ghosted the very storyline he ignited. No follow-up, no faction with Rollins, not even a token appearance to justify all the build. Just nothing. Let's not forget, the only reason Cena's turn happened the way it did was because The Rock set it in motion. But when it was time for the payoff at WrestleMania, The Rock didn't show up to finish what he started. If you're going to light the fuse on Cena's long-awaited heel turn and skip town, you're leaving WWE's biggest event storytelling high and dry. And this isn't just about one WrestleMania. The Rock has developed a pattern of inconsistent, disruptive returns that ultimately do more harm than good to WWE's long-term storytelling. He parachutes in whenever it's convenient for him, and he bounces while leaving a mess behind. At Battle Blood 2024, we witnessed an instant classic Hell in a Cell match between CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, the first 5-star Hell in a Cell match in years and years. And by all right, that feud deserved the main event spotlight. But on the day of the show, WWE bumped CM Punk vs Drew McIntyre out of the final slot to the opening, specifically to accommodate The Rock's surprise return at the end. The Rock showed up at the end of the Bad Blood to do absolutely fucking nothing, and never to show his face again for another 6 months. Bullshit. The Rock stole the main event's shine and then wasn't even around to follow up his own angle in any meaningful way. These inconsistent cameos highlight a fundamental issue. WWE storytelling thrives on continuity and commitment, two things that The Rock's irregular schedule just doesn't allow. When he does show up, it's on his terms and timelines, not because the story needs it. Remember, professional wrestling might be scripted entertainment, but it requires a coherent narrative and emotional investment. Every time The Rock swoops in and then vanishes, it breaks that narrative flow. All these returns from The Rock feel overstuffed and undercooked with no rhyme or reason. Just a bald fraud showing up with no script and a midlife crisis going crazy with a mic. That might be fine for a one-night nostalgia pop, but it's terrible for ongoing storylines that the fans are following weekly. And do you know why The Rock keeps coming back in these limited erratic bursts? It's because he's doing it to protect and promote the Rock brand and serve corporate interests, not for the love of the game. He's now literally part of WWE's corporate structure. He's on the board of directors with the TKO group, and as part of the deal, Dwayne Johnson secured full ownership of his The Rock name and signed new agreements for promotion and licensing with WWE. In his own words, being on the board and owning his brand is incredibly inspiring, and he's motivated to help his brand expand the business globally. Bull fucking shit. Translation: The Rock isn't just a performer now, he's a businessman with a seat at the table. Every appearance he makes on WWE television doubles as a corporate PR opportunity. Notice how in some of his recent promos he can't seem to decide if he's the villainous final boss or Dwayne Johnson, the Hollywood icon, doing a TKO investor relations tour. One minute he's in character tearing down the fans as Taylor Park trash methods, and the next minute he's showing WrestleMania 42 or other WWE events by name. That breaks the suspension of disbelief, reminding us that there's two masters that he serves: the storyline and the corporate marketing machine. As a fan watching, it's just jarring to see him bounce between The Rock and being a politician who's really just there to promote his brand. And by popping into WWE occasionally, he keeps his connection to wrestling alive, which helps his image as a beloved legend without risking the wear and tear or vulnerability of a full-time run. It's brand management 101. Stay relevant, get the social media buzz, but don't stick around long enough to tarnish the aura. Even his surprise returns are calculated for maximum hype. He announced one SmackDown return just 24 hours before the show on Instagram, sending the internet ablaze. These aren't the actions of someone who's back for the love of the game. These are the actions of someone carefully timing his appearances for maximum corporate and personal gain. And look, there's nothing wrong with Dwayne Johnson being a savvy businessman. But when his part-time participation in WWE starts to undermine the full-time product, we have a problem. WWE's top brass, Triple H, Nick Khan, and the TKO higher-ups, they need to ask some hard questions. And The Rock's role going forward? Is having this megastar involved worth the disruption it causes? Because at the end of the day, wrestling fans invest in stories and not cameos. The number one rule of pro wrestling is that no one is bigger than the business itself. Yes, even The Rock. Having The Rock around can be fantastic. We all love a consistent Rocky, but it's not worth it if it comes at the expense of coherent storytelling and fan loyalty. And right now that's exactly what's happening. His inconsistent presence is overshadowing what should be WWE's top stories. It made the WrestleMania main event build needlessly convoluted. It robbed other superstars of deserved spotlight at times. It often feels like decisions are being made just to accommodate The Rock's schedule or to create a one-off viral moment, rather than to tell the best story for the week-to-week audience. If Dwayne Johnson can't commit to a full-time program or at least clearly define limited run with a proper ending, then he shouldn't insert himself into major WWE angles at all. Don't dangle the possibility of a Rock vs Roman Reigns confrontation for years if you're not going to see it through. Don't kick off a John Cena heel run and then peace out when it's time for the payoff. WWE shouldn't be a revolving door prop for The Rock's convenience and corporate goals. The fans who watch every week, the ones who pay WWE's bills, they deserve better than plot lines that serve a part-timer's schedule. I say this with all respect to the Great One's legacy. Stay home, Rock, unless you're all in. The WWE landscape has evolved. Today's stars like Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, John Cena, and Randy Orton are carrying the torch and committing to the grind. They don't need a savior swooping in for a few cameos. In fact, those cameos often steal their thunder or muddle their stories. If The Rock truly loves this business, he should have known when his involvement is doing more harm than good. And that's the heel heat hot take. If you smell what I'm cooking, you know this needed to be said. The Rock's sporadic returns might get headlines, but in the long run, they're hurting the product that we love. WWE doesn't need The Rock to succeed. In fact, it might thrive more without these interruptions. In wrestling, you go big or you go home. And if The Rock isn't going big every time, then please, Rocky, go home for good. Catch you next time, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more scorching heat takes from Heel Heat with Adeen.